set the pace when I'm
Bass knob, bass knobs, bass knobs. Today we're going to talk about bass knobs. And there are many, many different types of bass knobs. Well, really, there's two, but come in a wide range of styles. So we can't really talk about bass knobs without an honorable mention here. My motherfucking Ice Cube Funko Pop bass knob with voltmeter, working headlights in the car. I've never used it. I'm going to at some point, but anyway, yeah, it don't get much more gangster than the Ice Cube bass knob. And if you notice, it has RCA connection, which is what we're here to talk about. Because, well, where I work, I'm constantly getting calls for these things. It says remote. That's where the factory bass knob would have plugged in. And the factory bass knob for these amplifiers, it actually had the clip light and everything built in. But I try to explain to people, they think that them bass knobs are all you can use for an amplifier or whatever. And I try to explain to them, I've got 9 of these amps total. I got 4 in here, 4 of the amps in there, and I keep a spare. Now, when I have opened all 9, one of the first things I did is took the factory bass knobs for the amp and threw it in the fucking trash. The foam cord is cheap as shit that come with these. And why would I want to run 4 amps? 4 bass knobs up front. And God, trying to turn all of them up simultaneously, that would have been stupid. But almost every knob I've seen that comes with the amps are just complete and utter garbage. The best knob I have ever owned, I've had this thing for 2.5 years, and it has just been a trooper. It's not cheap. LF Audio. God, this thing's been awesome. I never have connection problems with it because it works over Wi-Fi. Right now it's looking for signal and it can't find none because of course the unit's off. It actually connects through this. RCA in, RCA out. Which is why we're here, kinda. Yeah, that's why we're doing this video. Hold on a minute. So, as I said, for most people, when you buy an amp for your sub, don't use the knob it comes with. That cheap ass phone cord ain't no good. They only quit working in about 6 months. It don't matter the brand name. We're not brand nut huggers here because all them bass knobs come with the amp are cheap. The majority of them work off a gain. So, it's just with any bass knob, when you set your gains on your amplifiers, turn the bass knob all the way up to set it. And these factory amps, most of them work off a type of gain circuit. So, they'll turn up to where your max gain setting is, and then they'll turn the signal down. When you use an RCA knob, there's so many benefits. As I showed you, you can get some gangster shit like Cube. But there are so many different styles. You can get them for as little, I think it's $12. Like the cheap audio control. I can't remember the part number for it, but it's cheap, guys. But anyway, they don't have to be mounted in the dash. A lot of them have boxes or whatever on them. There's so many people making cool custom ones. You can lay them on your lap when you're driving. Have your hand on that thing all the time. But anyway, that just sounded dirty. The cool thing is, by running RCA in and RCA out, they're killing RCA signal coming from the head unit. And like me here, let's see if I can get it on here. This is my RCA distribution block. So that's the input, and the gain knob turns that input up and down, And then you got all of your outputs coming out of that distribution block to all of your subwoofer amplifiers. So when you're running multiple subs, you're golden. That is the beauty of it. When you change amplifiers to a different brand or what have you, you're not running a new phone cord through your vehicle or changing a knob up front because they're just garbage anyway. But anyway, you're not changing all that. And running the knobs that come with the amps, they don't last. Every time you change amplifier, brand, or whatever, you have to change knobs. With the RCA style, you don't have to change nothing. You just pull one amp out, plug your RCAs in it, set the gain, and go about your business. So they're kind of superior in every way. Now, I get it because some of the amps have gotten fancy with the knobs. Like, I believe the down for sound are running off Bluetooth, which is all fine and dandy until you run multiple amplifiers. If you're just running one and you have one of them fancy knobs, then I could see using it, you know, because they tell you temp, voltage, and all that kind of stuff. But the problem lays when you run more than one amplifier, then, you know, you're back to having to run two knobs if you stay with that. I know that Ruthless is coming out with some amps. I believe they had this built in from LF Audio. And as I said, I'm not here to try to sell y'all anything from LF Audio. I'm not even a dealer for them anymore. It's just a lot of people in the beginning are like, that knob's junk, it ain't gonna last. And that thing is 2.5 years and never missed a beat. Like, never. It has been solid. The battery life on it is awesome. The only time I really charge it is when I go to shows. On the way to the show, like on that drive, I'll plug it in and charge it. And by the time I get to the show, I unplug it and I'll use it like all weekend. And I haven't charged that thing in like, I'm gonna say like the DJ Dirty Bass show. On the way there, I charged it. It ain't been charged since, and it's still over half battery. But, and I've went to some local events here, and it just ain't needed charged. But I'm not telling you to buy one of them. I'm just telling you to check out some like Funko Pop stuff. And there's so many other bass heads out there making cool ass knobs that there's no need for you to run a cheap knob that come with your amp. I'm saying, you know, check out something better. And the reason I had to make this video is a lot of guys didn't know that they can run an RCA knob or how they work. And I mean, it's pretty damn simple. You have RCAs coming from your head unit, like right here. They would come from the head unit and plug in here, and then these would go out to the amp. It's really simple. Or your distribution block. It is relatively simple to hook these up. I think all you would need in most applications is a short, like 4-foot RCA or 6-foot. That's if you want to put it by your lap. And the knob. That's it. I mean, it's relatively simple. And like I said, turn the knob all the way up when you set the gains. But it's just so much better than what comes to amp. And people call my job like all the time looking for replacement knobs because either they have changed vehicles and left the knob in it. The knob quit working, which is so common because they're not great quality. Or the cable went bad, just a multitude. And every day they're looking for replacement knobs. And I'm like, why? You know, there's so much better option out there. So I figured I'd do a video on it. And a lot of guys don't know how the bass knob thing works. But yeah, RCA, you can put it on any system. I have had to tell guys how to use the RCA knob, like say with a product we make, which is a Bluetooth receiver. Not trying to get off subject here, but it's a box you mount behind the dash or in the well of a boat or wherever. And it receives Bluetooth signal from your phone. And your phone is everything. It plays the music. It changes tracks. and it would do the volume. And there's a lot of guys running pretty big system in boats and side-by-sides and stuff with that. And I've had to tell them, like, hey, it only has the left and right RCA out. So you can run it into a bass knob, and then out of the bass knob to your crossover or DSP, and you can control master volume with it. And a lot of guys think that's cool, and they don't know you can do that. But yeah, this could be the master volume for your whole system. Like volume up, volume down, you know. So anyway, in closing, I've kind of showed you some, you know, different things about bass knobs, and I definitely recommend not running the bass knob that comes with your amps, especially if you're going to run a multi-amp system for subwoofers. Yeah, just get an RCA knob and do like me. Open the box, throw the box knob and everything away, because that's what I do. I ain't saying you have to do that, but yeah, bass knobs, guys. Whatever. On another subject, I know I ain't done many videos here recently because I've been busy as shit. Doing what exactly? Nothing. Just hanging out with friends and shit and different events every weekend. 2 weekends ago, we had a Back to Broadway cruise here, which in the town I grew up in, Broadway is the strip that we would cruise every night when we were kids. Well, teenagers and early 20s, you know. Cruising, hanging out, bumper to bumper traffic. And I found out I can drive Jangalang like 20 mile an hour and float flags in the windows. I thought that was kind of cool. But I kind of got into some higher frequency stuff and street beat it, which that's where you just have both windows down, and it like street beating on them like higher 20 hertz frequencies. But I had a blast. Tonight we actually have another event. We're taking both vehicles too, so that ought to be cool. We've actually been invited to a whole lot of stuff around here because people are seeing the Jeep or the Blazer, and they're just getting a hold of my cousin who's big in the car show scene and like, hey, have your cousin come out with the Jeep or the Blazer. So it's kind of fun. I have not done anything to either one of these vehicles since we've pretty much been here. Like system-wise. I know I have plans to build something different. I haven't jumped on it. Really, I want to build something different for Deb, but at the same time, now I'm kind of looking for an older truck to put air ride and shit on. I don't know why. I'm still going to keep at least one base vehicle in our family, but I'd kind of like to build something different. I haven't drove the black Jeep I call Julian back there. I haven't drove that thing in like over a month, maybe 2. It's just sit there. I don't know. Like literally being back here, I have so many friends and shit that I hadn't seen in forever. There's always something to do. And we're just kind of enjoying a different pace, I guess, different type of lifestyle. The shows are still fun. They're still important. But we're just kind of doing a little bit of everything here. Yeah, I'd still like to get an old Chevy truck and do something where to lay rocker on the ground, which I've been into all that stuff before. Like I had a Toyota mini truck on air ride. You know, I've had race cars. I've had custom motorcycles that I've built. Bass is just one of many hobbies that I have, but that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time. So I don't know. But anyway, I might try to shoot some footage tonight. I doubt it'll be in this video. I'll probably do a separate video of that. But anyway, bass knobs, guys. Choose you a nice RCA style bass knob. Honorable mention, and our daily driver, I have the old Goku and Monkey D. Luffy knob that was in the Jeep here. I have it in there, and it works off of a RJ45 cable, which is a computer network cable. But the cable just goes from a box to the knob. The box itself still has RCA input, RCA output, battery ground, and remote turn on. Because the knob itself has a voltmeter and LEDs in it. So it was from Slam Panda, and he had just built that style where you could mount the RCA distribution hub in the back of the vehicle and run that network cable up to the knob, because a common issue with bass knobs is they usually break the cable somewhere right here when you have the box and you're laying it in your lap. And he thought that would have been a cooler design, because most time you just have to get rid of the whole knob or change the pointometer in it. He built that just so you could go to Walmart, get a network cable, plug it in, and you're back to bass knobbing. So I really like that style also. I love this style because it's wireless and it's been flawless so far. It's just really expensive. I actually got the Pro version of this, which is like $500 or more now. And honestly, I just use it as a bass knob. All of the cool functions that are built in that unit that you would pay for when you buy the Pro version, I don't use. Like, it has a 15-volt line driver built in. I've done all the testing. My amps like the voltage that they're at for RCA voltage. If I turn it up, it loses. So, you know, none of that stuff is important to me. I just like the bass knob function. When I got it, I got the Pro version because that's what he released very first. And, you know, this was one of the first revisions that he had of this knob. And that's what I got. It's been flawless. 2.5 years in it. Hell, I'd say if it lasted 3 or 4 years, I definitely got my money's worth out of it. Because every time I've had an RCA knob, I usually get about a year out of them. Some cheaper, you know, it depends on the quality of the RCA cable, but some more, some less. But anyway, that's all you need to know about bass knobs, I guess. So, peace out, guys, and as always, bass on.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love.